welcome to Wind Down Wednesday for December 2023. Happy
Cheers.
Holidays.
Yeah, happy
Cheers.
holidays. And happy holidays to all of you.
Yeah, thanks for joining us today. So it's a special Wind Down Wednesday because
I know.
we're wearing these silly hats.
I know. I feel so ridiculous. But they actually look really cute. It's fun.
Cute.
It's fun to be a kid again.
That's right.
Except that kids don't drink wine.
I know. What are we drinking?
We are drinking a Verada. It's a 2018 Verada Tri-County Pinot Noir. And what that means is that they take Pinot Noir grapes that are harvested from Monterey, Santa Barbara, and Sonoma counties. They're all kind of blended together. So Pinot Noir is a blend. It's kind of mellow, it's kind of full-bodied, it's kind of oaky. You can drink it with food, like a variety of different things, like salmon would be good, or a stew, or you can just drink it for pleasure.
I kind of just like it.
Okay. And I want to tell you something else I'm liking.
Sure.
I'm really liking that a few things. One, I found out that a Pinot Noir wine is one of the healthiest wines you can drink.
Well, that's why I drink so much.
Yeah, me
Because
too.
it's healthy, Janet.
Yeah. Pinot Noir and Cabernet Sauvignon both are high in antioxidants, and that's because of the resveratrol content. And they've studied it a bit, and there's the thought out there that it helps with cardiovascular health, can help prevent strokes. Now, you're not supposed to drink a bottle of wine, in one sitting or anything like that. They're not saying that, but this is a healthier wine if you're trying to make a choice.
Okay.
Pinot Noir is your wine, but also Cabernet Sauvignon.
I think there's less sugar content,
Yep,
right? So,
yep. For a 5-ounce glass of Pinot Noir, there's like 1 gram of sugar
okay.
to a 5 ounces. So
Enough to make it tasty. But
yeah,
not so much
exactly.
that's gonna give you diabetes.
yeah, right, exactly. Unless you're drinking a whole bottle at a time every day, which would not be good.
Yep.
So, and the
You
other
jingle
thing,
when you talk.
the other thing that I'm really, really digging on is this Ivation wine pourer and aerator.
And we don't work for the company.
No, we don't, but I got this as a gift from my friend Charlie, so I thought I'd try it out today, and it's really cool because I don't know about you guys, but when I open a bottle of wine, I'm ready to have it, right? But if you're drinking a full-bodied wine, you want to aerate it so that you can take advantage of all those yummy flavors, right? So you got to let it breathe. So there's a little aerator on here. So if you're using it to pour a wine that doesn't need
So
to be
is it
aerated.
like being on tap?
Yeah.
So you just
Yeah.
pour, can I try it?
Yeah. So put it under there.
And then push the button?
Push the button on top.
Up.
Oh, you just hold it
Hold
down,
it down.
until you fill your glass
Oh
to the
my
desired
goodness,
level.
it's like having wine on tap. This is
Yep.
the most marvelous thing.
Yep.
Charlie got me one of these too, so I can't wait to use it. Thanks,
Yep.
Charlie.
So I find that if you use a stemmed glass, you can put the stemmed glass down.
Okay.
But with a stemless glass, you want to hold it up here because otherwise you get too much splash.
Yeah.
Because it's too far of a distance. So it's kind of cool. Well, we could put our little here. We could go
That's
like
all right.
this.
Why not? Or
Why not? Exactly.
And we've got our glasses from Dr. Laurie Hooker, who we
Mhm.
love.
And so appropriate.
It is so appropriate for today. I didn't even introduce myself. I'm Dr. Weiss. If you're watching this, you probably know that. And my partner in crime, Janet Vales.
Cheers.
Cheers. So happy holidays again.
Yep.
Hopefully you guys are all having a fabulous holiday season.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a question about this. Is it like a Coravin where it like corks and it'll keep your wine good for longer, or not so much?
No, it's
Like, you
more
should
for
still drink
serving.
it. Okay.
Yeah, you should still drink it, but you can store, and I can't remember all the exact number of days, but depending on the type of wine it is, I do know that it should be stored in the fridge. It should be stored upright.
Okay.
Once it's been open,
All right.
we don't lay down, right? We stand up in the fridge, and then depending on what kind of wine it is, it might be 2 to 3 days, it might be 4 or 5 days,
Okay.
as far as it still being good. It's not like you have to drink the bottle all there or forget it, you're dumping it out.
Okay.
Right? So that's good to know.
All right.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Charlie, for that little gadget.
I know. And this is what the box looks like. In case
I love
anybody's interested. Love it. I want to tell you guys about the specials,
Specials,
right? But I'm really excited about these. So if you guys haven't already done so, you want to visit our website once a day through the 24th, and you can roll the dice to win a prize. And you can do that once every day. You can roll. So make sure you visit our website. I'm sure most of you know it, but it's www.paradisemedspa.com. You can roll the dice to play, see what you win. You can do it every day through the 24th. Today's the 12th, so the 12th that we're recording it. You're viewing this on the 13th. So There's not a lot of days left, right? And it only takes a moment, so I'm sure you can fit in your busy holiday schedule and win something good.
How many more days? It's only 12 more days
I
till
know.
Christmas. That's crazy.
Yeah. And the important thing is you want to print out your winning coupon, or you want to take a screenshot of it, because that's how you redeem it for your prize.
It's super fun.
I know.
It's like you get excited.
You feel like you're in Vegas
and
without spending the money.
Different things you can win, or how many different things?
Oh my gosh, there's probably like
3 or 5.
7 Maddie says.
Wow, 7.
Yeah.
Excellent. So you got lots of chances to win lots of great prizes.
Yep, absolutely. And then also we have a great gift certificate special. If you buy a gift certificate for $200 or more, then you get a virtual coupon of $50 to use towards a cosmetic service of $250 or more. And that coupon is good through June 30th. Your gift certificate, of course, is good at any time, right? We just don't combine discounts and other offers and whatnot, but that's kind of nice. Buy a $200 gift certificate for someone you love, even if it's yourself.
Yeah.
And get
Self-love.
$50. Yeah, get $50, and you can use it for a cosmetic service of $250 or more, right?
Okay.
So that's,
Awesome.
that could be almost anything. And then the last thing is Dr. Sarna's team, the wellness team, is giving a package of energy boost injections for only $100. That's $25 off. And then also offering 15% off the supplement Serene. That's for calming and mood support, which is great during the holidays. We all have so many things we want to try and do, and so many people we want to try and enjoy. So sometimes we need a little help, and this is a great supplement, and it works.
Yeah.
Serene, 15% off. So that's what's going on.
Are you finished with your shopping? Your holiday
Oh,
shopping?
heck no. I'm last minute, Lucy. I have to analyze everything,
Well,
So are you?
I'm not. I just buy everything online. I'm really
You're
just
good.
easy, but it's also Hanukkah. I celebrate Hanukkah, and it's Hanukkah now. So happy Hanukkah to those who celebrate. Tonight is the 6th night. Tomorrow, when this airs, it'll be the 7th night of Hanukkah. So it's almost done. So I had to do all of that in advance.
Right.
And so I started wrapping my presents last week, and then my dogs got into them and unwrapped my presents. I couldn't believe it. I was so mad at those little stinkers. So they didn't like eat the presents because there was nothing edible in there, but they opened my gifts. So
I love wrapping gifts. Do you like wrapping gifts?
I like wrapping gifts, but these were I've been going through some stuff, family stuff. So I just did gift bags this year. I'm just lazy, but they opened them and they helped themselves to my stinky candles. I don't know why they care, but they smelled something good in
fun.
there. Oh,
yeah, it's fun, Mom.
dogs. Yeah. So that's what I get for leaving them home alone during the day.
Sometimes it's fun to be naughty.
Yeah. That's what my dogs think. Yes, that's a rule that they live by. Okay, so we are talking today about tox. We're talking about tox today. Botox, Dysport, Xeomin, Daxify, Jeuveau. There's 5 different brands that are FDA approved now for use in the United States. So that's kind of exciting because there's a little bit of market competition, and I think that's good. So Botox, of course, the OG of all tox, has been out for many moons, several decades, and is tried and true, and we know it's efficacious and we know it's safe. So not to diss on the OG, because I think it's great, and I love it. It was my first love. But there's other brands now, and ultimately they all have the same active ingredient at their core. So, the question is what's different about them really? And what one is going to be best for you. And we've talked about this before, but Daxxify is kind of new, so
Yeah.
I just want to revisit. And
Let's discuss.
we're using Daxxify in a couple different ways now. So, and we're also offering a Daxxify special. So you didn't talk about that one yet. So
I
we'll
didn't.
talk about
That's
that.
an in-house one.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that as well. But you know, they've done studies on all of these different neuromodulators, and they're all efficacious. The typical duration is around 90 to 120 days of duration of action. So 3 to 4 months is typical for all of them, with the exception of Daxxify, because Daxxify did their clinical study with a little different dosing regimen, and they used 2 times as many units, and they were able to show that the median duration was up to 6 months, maybe longer in some, maybe a little less in others. So with the same equivalent dosing that you would use for Botox. And so I guess the question is, if you were to do that with all of the different tox products, if you were to essentially make them a little more concentrated and double the dose, would you get the same effect? And I think the answer ultimately is yes.
You would get a
You
longer
would get
duration.
a longer duration. We know now that dose and duration go hand in hand. So if your tox treatment looks great for the first month or 2, and then the effect goes away, oftentimes that is dose related. It is very rare to have true resistance to tox products. I use tox as neuromodulators or whatever, you know, it's just easier to say tox. It's very rare to actually have built up antibodies to these products. So they all should work. I think the problem comes when we underdose people. We don't give them an adequate dose. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. Okay, went away. It came back.
Bless you.
So I think when we underdose the products, then we are doing really a disservice, because the duration isn't going to be there. The patient's going to come back earlier. And we're finding that more resistance happens the more frequently we are administering these tox products.
Okay.
So, you know, essentially, if you're coming at the first sign of the tox wearing off after 2 months, when it really hasn't totally worn off,
Right.
and you're wanting to be redosed, you are setting yourself up for potential resistance to the product. You're going to need more and more, because the body does it. It just builds a tolerance to things, right? It's not true
Sure, like
resistance, but it's like
medication,
a tolerance to things. So exactly, it's like any other medication. And so the goal should be to not get a treatment for another 90 to 120 days, so that your product can continue to last and continue to work well for you. So that's that. I mean, unless you've received like a vaccine for botulism, you know, which
Right.
most of the time we're not receiving those, or you've had a case of botulism, you know,
Right.
very
These
rare that
are
you're actually
rare.
going to live through that. So, so in any case, like actually having those antibodies is very rare, and developing those antibodies is rare. But developing a little resistance and tolerance is fairly common, especially with increased frequency. So another thing to think about is if you are getting Botox, for example, which is also FDA approved for migraine headaches, it's important to try to time that with your cosmetic Botox treatment. So you're not getting like your migraine treatment 1 month and then coming back the next month for your cosmetic treatment, because then again, it's another exposure,
Right.
right? So resistance is based on the frequency of exposure.
So we're better off doing fewer treatments.
Yes.
So if your tox normally lasts you, 3 or 4 months, then you want to come in every 3 or 4 months, but you want to have it dosed appropriately at that time.
Yes.
If you find that you're coming in more than 3 or 4 times a year, this is where we're going to start to run into some resistance.
If you're coming more than 4 times a year, for sure.
Okay.
So trying to time it with your medical treatments, I think is important. And then trying not to do sort of disjointed treatments where you're treating like your glabella 1 month and then and like, oh, I won't do my crow's feet, I'll do that, I'll come back for that next month. Don't
Okay.
do that. Just wait until you're due for your next tox treatment and do it all together.
Okay.
Again, so you're avoiding repeat exposure
Yeah.
to the product.
And it gradually wears off. It's not like, oh, it's 3 months, you know, or 4 months.
But so what happens sometimes is those folks who really don't want to see any motion at all will want to come back at 2 months when they're just starting to see that decline in action or effect of their neuromodulator treatment, and they're doing themselves a disservice. They should really just wait for the full 90 days. And it's okay to have a little bit of motion. It's normal to have a little bit of
we're
motion.
human, right?
And as long as those lines aren't remaining etched in your skin when you're at rest, you're okay. So it's okay to show lines, because people will do that. Like my Botox wore off and they're raising their brows, you know, showing me the lines. If when you then relax your face, you don't see those lines etched in the skin, you're good. You're okay to wait. So that's something with Daxxify. Also the new product, I think some people felt like, oh, it really didn't last 5 or 6 months for me, because Daxxify does have sort of a slower offset.
Okay.
You know, you might start seeing a little bit of motion sooner, and it takes a little longer to get to baseline. So you might start seeing a little bit of those wrinkles. It really hasn't worn off.
Right.
You should give it at least 5 months in between the treatments. And that's really one reason to consider doing the higher dosing on any of these tox brands, because it will space out your treatment so you're not getting exposed as often. So you really have that option, like I said, with any of the neuromodulator brands. It's just that Daxxify is the only one that went for that to be on label use for their product, to do the double dosing regimen protocol, and the others haven't done that, though there are clinical trials underway right now for, I know, at least for Jeuveau, and I think for some of the other products as well.
Yeah.
It's part of the reason why I think Dysport lasts a little bit longer, because, you know, there's no consensus opinion on the equivalent dose of Dysport compared to Botox. So like in my practice, I use 3 times as many units of Dysport as my equivalent to Botox, but it's really not equivalent.
Okay.
Right? So it's actually a higher potency.
Okay.
It's probably somewhere like 2.5 is equivalent, but I'm using 3. So you actually get a little longer duration, because we find that people get at least 4, if not maybe up to 5 months with the 3-to-1 conversion with Dysport. So if you're looking for something that has a little longer duration, then think maybe consider Dysport, maybe consider Daxxify or any of the other neuromodulators that are on the market with the higher dosing protocols. And what we do is so it has the same clinical effect. You don't look weird or frozen or strange because we're using a higher dose. We actually make it more concentrated, so the spread is equivalent. It's not going to spread to areas we're not intending to treat, despite the higher dosing. So you'll have a very similar result to what you would consider your standard dose, even with the higher dose. The other thing to think about is if you are on a budget, Daxxify is priced a little lower compared to some of the other products, because they knew they were going to be doubling the dose, and so essentially it is a more expensive treatment at the higher dose. All of them are when you're doubling the dose.
Sure.
But to help sort of get, you know, their product penetrated into the market, they came out with a little lower price point. So if you were to dose Daxi in an equivalent dose that you would normally with Botox
or Jeuveau
or
CMN, right?
You're actually going to pay a little bit less. And I actually just treated myself with that, just to see how long does it last at standard dosing protocol. And I just did that like maybe 3 weeks ago, so I can't really comment on the duration, but I can tell you it kicked in within 2 days.
Nice.
It had already reached full effect by a week. And so it looks great. And actually that's one thing I will say about Daxxify. I think it really has a beautiful effect.
Right.
Similar to Dysport. Similar to the same reason why I really like Dysport. I feel like there's a little more spread and with those products, and I don't know, I think the quality, the the improvement in skin quality and texture is more noticeable with those products. I really like them.
And what do you attribute that to?
I think it's maybe the spread, right?
Okay.
So, you know, with Botox, Jeuveau, they're very specific.
Okay.
You know, if you inject it here, there's not going to be a whole lot of spread beyond that site of injection.
Okay.
Where with some of these other products, you do get a little bit more spread. And I think that helps, kind of like microtox. When we do teeny little injections of a more dilute version of tox, that's called microtox, and it really does a nice job of improving skin texture and tone. You're not really going for the effect on the facial muscles that create deeper wrinkles. You're going for sort of that smooth look.
Right.
And I think those provide more of that.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's my hypothesis. I can't really say for sure. One thing also to note with Xeomin is the only one of these products that doesn't have what we call accessory protein. So what makes all of these products a little different is not the active ingredient, it's the protein that's sort of attached or not attached to that active ingredient to make it proprietary. So Xeomin is the only one that doesn't have any of those accessory proteins. It shouldn't really matter, but I do think that perhaps some of the resistance we build up could be related to the presence or absence of those proteins. And it is thought that maybe for Xeomin, you're less likely to build up that resistance or that tolerance. And so for someone who's starting tox young, you know, if you're in your 20s and you're just doing maybe like preventative tox, or you're just starting on your tox journey, it may not be a bad idea to try Xeomin because you don't need a real high potency tox at that point anyway. And they've looked at the different potencies of these different tox products, and we can talk about that next. But it may be a good choice to start with Xeomin because again, you don't really need a high potency product. You're just looking for prevention, and you're less likely to build up a tolerance, especially if you're starting at the age of 25 or whatever.
Yeah.
And you want to be able to enjoy the effects of these products for presumably a long while.
Right. Yeah.
So, so before I jump to the special with Daxi, I will talk about potency. So they have done clinical studies on tox potency, comparing all 5 different brands. And Botox, the potency, it's done in nanograms. So it's like an arbitrary measurement, like form of, anyway, it's 0.18 nanograms and for a 20 unit dose. So for what we would normally what we would put in the mid-brow, and I'll just use that as my point of reference for all of these tox products, it would be 0.18 nanograms. Now, if you compare that to Dysport, again, at 3 to 1, right? Because that's how I dose it. On label, it would be the difference between 20 units and 50 units. Like I said, it's like 2.5, whatever. But I use 3 times as many units. So for 60 units, which is 3 times as many units as 20, right? The potency would be 0.32 nanograms.
Got it.
That's why I think it lasts longer.
Right. Makes sense.
Comparing that to Jeuveau is 0.12 nanograms, so just a little less than Botox, but not much. I don't think it's noticeable for most patients. Some patients feel like they can tell. You know, who am I to say? But so I think we all kind of pick our favorite tox, and that's all right. But Jeuveau is a little less expensive. Their company typically runs like a $40 off deal, sometimes $80, so price point may be a little bit better than Botox. Botox, they do have their Ally program, which oftentimes you get $20 off your next treatment. You earn points. If you bank those points up, you could have more. If you're doing other products from their Allergan product line, like Juvederm products and other things, you can earn points, and those can be used towards treatment. So they have a nice, robust, like patient reward program for Botox as well. But their product is a little bit more expensive. So that's something to keep in mind. Xeomin, on the other hand, is 0.08 nanograms.
Wow, so we have 0.08.
0.08.
0.18.
Yes.
0.12.
Yes.
Point.
So Dysport is 0.32. And Daxxify, if you double the dose, is 0.18. They did that be equivalent to Botox.
Right.
Okay. So if you do a standard dose, it's still a little more potent than Xeomin.
Okay.
Just to put that into perspective.
Right.
I'm not saying that those potency charts equate totally to duration.
Right.
I don't think they do, but I just think it's interesting.
Right. And it probably has to do with the protein, right? That helps
That's
with
what
the
makes
duration.
it different, or how much of the active ingredient they actually have in their product, or
Mm-hmm.
you know. So I just think that's really interesting. So I guess my point is that, you know, if you're looking at all of these products, and we know they're all effective and they've all gone head to head with the OG Botox,
Mm-hmm.
and typically there's non-inferiority studies that they do to say that my product is not inferior to yours, and they've all proven themselves worthy, right? So, you know, if you're really looking for the most cost-effective option, probably Jeuveau.
Okay.
If you're looking at potency versus price and all of that. But right now with Daxxify, Daxxify is actually less expensive than Jeuveau. So in our practice, Jeuveau costs $12 a unit, Daxxify costs $11. So just unit per unit, you're going to save some money. And right now we're doing a special for $100 off. If you choose to make the switch to Daxxify right now, you will get $100 off of your treatment price for standard dosing. So like I'm using 50 units of Jeuveau. That was my last treatment. I'm coming in today. I'm going to use 50 units of Daxxify. I'll get $100 off. If you choose to try the double dosing for longer duration, you will get $200 off.
Yeah,
so
makes
that's
sense.
the special we're running right now. And thank you to our rep and the company
for supporting us.
Vance, who manufactures the product. And it is a product made here in the United States, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So most of them are not. So if you are, you know, wanting to support businesses that are from the United States, that's one to support. They are based out of Nashville.
Yeah.
So
I think the cool thing is that they're all great products. And that's why, and they're all safe. Mm-hmm. They're all safe. They're all effective.
Yep, they're all FDA approved. They're all safe.
Yeah,
I love them all.
And and that's why we carry them all.
Yeah, I know it's kind of hard. I keep saying, should we get rid of one of them? Like I feel like we don't need all of them.
I know. I keep saying,
But
Dr. Weiss, we should narrow it down. How do you pick?
I don't know.
Right?
And patients have their preference, and I think that's fine. We all have our favorite bottle of wine. We all have our favorite Tox brand. That's okay. We're all a little bit different. And I do think, just like any medication, they work differently in different people. Mm-hmm. We all have different genetic makeups. You know, we have different cytokines and enzymes that break down products in our body and detoxify, and so that may affect the, you know, the duration and the effect of these products as well, because they're all it's a medication just like any other medication. So because we're pre-recording this, we're not getting questions in, but please feel free to ask questions. You can put them in the comment section, and Maddie will be fielding all of those calls tomorrow. And if she can't answer something or can't find the answer, she'll come to me, and we'll be sure to answer those for you. Because I'm sure we're going to get lots of questions about this.
Yeah.
Because I do feel like everybody has their favorite Tox.
Yeah.
And 'tis the season for Tox.
That's
I
right.
mean, yeah, this is like Tox season. This is our busiest time of year.
Right. It's Hanukkah. It's Christmas.
It's New Year's. Everybody wants to look their best right now. There will be family photos taken of you.
Mm-hmm.
So beware. And yeah, we all want to look our best right now and feel good about ourselves. It's that, you know, maybe because it gets dark earlier, we get a little depressed too.
Well, but you know, too, we've referred before as Tox as the gateway drug, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, when a lot of us were growing up, and probably me even more so than you, and then Maddie, you know, more so, these types of things weren't available to our moms.
No, and look at how they aged. So, you know, you'll see pictures of like your grandma at the same age as you.
Right.
And you think like they looked ancient.
Right.
Sorry, Grandma. And it's because we started doing these things early enough. So I do think that there is something to be said for doing Tox preventatively. And I think we are a testament, like our generation is a testament to that.
Right.
You know, I'm 50 years old. Do I look 50 years old? Probably not.
No.
You know, I just think that our generation started earlier with these things.
And aesthetics as well.
Yeah.
And just doing something as simple as Tox to make you feel refreshed and look relaxed and stand a little taller and feel a little prettier, right?
Well, and we've talked about this many times over the years, that there are clinical studies to show that there is an antidepressant effect to Botox and other similar neuromodulator products, and we don't know why that is, but it is a true effect. And I think it's, if you are walking around with a scowl on your face unknowingly, and even if you're not angry, other people will look at you and think you are angry, and they won't smile at you.
Yeah.
And so if you have people, if you look happy and refreshed and relaxed, people are we reflect other people's emotions.
Yeah, we mirror them, right?
We mirror them. And so they will smile back at you. They will look relaxed when they see you. And I think that goes into our psyche.
Yeah, and they'll approach you.
They'll approach you, and then you will make new friends, and then you will live a happier life.
Yep.
And so I just think that there is a snowball effect to these things. I think if you feel like, if you're having a good hair day,
right,
it's the same thing.
You feel a little spunkier.
You feel like, okay, I can conquer the world today. I'm looking all right. It's the same effect. I think you're also looking at yourself in the mirror, so you're reflecting what you're seeing.
Yeah.
So if you see a happy face, you might be a little happier.
And I think about when we do consults, there's quite a few women throughout the year that will come in and say, what can you do for me? Everybody thinks I'm mad, and I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not mad, or I'm not sad, or they ask why I'm angry, and it really frustrates them because on the inside,
they're not feeling that
they're
way.
not feeling that way, and yet people keep saying, why are you so mad? So they're like, what can you do about, this, or what can you do about this?
I think we've all felt that when someone says, like, are you okay? And you're like, I'm fine. Why are you asking me if I'm okay? It kind of makes you mad, right? So I think if that happens to you all day long, you will be mad. So
right, exactly. It's like, forget it, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not going to even bother trying to smile.
I
right?
know, right? We're all going to think I'm pissed off anyway. And I think especially at the workplace, this becomes a problem.
Yeah.
And especially for women in the workplace, this becomes a problem.
Yeah.
So like, men are allowed to be a little rough around the edges, and women are not. You're supposed to be able to approach us. We're supposed to be nice all the time.
Yeah.
This is
They're debonair and we're bitchy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's totally unfair. I'm not saying this is fair at all, but this is the way we are as a society. And I think a lot of women do come in who are still in the workplace, who maybe are aging and still in the workplace, and they feel like they're trying to compete against younger women coming into the industry they're in, and they're being asked, why are you mad and sad and all of these things. That's really upsetting to them. So I think there's a lot of reasons why I think Tox is the best, and I think it is still my favorite. I know it is still my very favorite treatment to have on myself and to provide to patients, because I love it so much, and I think I've learned so much about uses of how you can use neuromodulators over the years in different ways, that it's still exciting to me. And I think it's a growing field, and we're always changing as we learn more about facial anatomy and muscles and how they work on correct placement. Now we're doing things like Tox lifts, where we're addressing the downward pull on our face that happens with age, so that we get a lifted look. We can do that with Tox now. Right. I've corrected just in the last week, 2 different patients came in with a crooked smile that didn't realize they could do something about it, and it was because they had a strong pull on their DLI muscle
on one side,
right? And I can relax that, so now they're even, and they're going to be happier with how they look, because they always had this crooked smile in all their pictures. So I think things like that, it's really great.
Chinulite.
Yeah, like the little
That's another good
bumpy chin issue that we get.
Platismal bands.
Yep, the bands, the DAO muscle, which pulls the corners of the mouth down, perioral lines, like smokers' lines, even though most of the time people aren't smokers. There's like so many different uses for Tox that can really refresh someone's appearance without looking fake. I love it. And again, I think it makes you feel better and look better.
we all feel better when we look better.
Yes. And relatively affordable, right?
Yeah.
So in the scheme of things, I feel like Tox
It's not
bang
like
for your
plastic
buck.
surgery.
And it works. And so bang for your, it's not like I wonder if this is going to work. Most,
Right.
like 98% of patients are going to have an amazing result. And so it's my favorite. It's my favorite.
Yeah.
So, okay, with
Well said.
that, when is our next?
Our next Wind Down Wednesday, I forget the exact date, but it's the second
Tuesday.
Wednesday.
Oh, second
in,
Tuesday.
Second
Second
Wednesday in January.
Wind Down Tuesday. Just kidding. We're not changing.
It'll be Dr. Sarna and her team, and they're going to be talking about, peptides.
Okay.
They've recently gone to another, I don't want to call it a seminar, but a learning opportunity. There's just so many uses, that they're finding out at these conferences about how you can utilize peptides to make certain things happen in your body. And it's safe, it's effective, and it's exciting, the variety.
Well, I think that'll be timely because it's New Year's and it's sort of like New Year, New You, and kind of focusing on healthy changes for the new year. So that'll be great.
Yep. And you know what else I want to remind people of? We're going to have our annual open house event.
Yeah, we're going to have our
we're gonna
Sweet
be
16.
Sweet 16,
Yep.
Saturday, February 17th. We'll have an open house, so keep an eye out for those details. But it's always so much fun.
Yeah, we always have a great time at our parties. We like to party.
Yeah. And it's fun doing it around our birthday.
Yeah, we always do it like February around our birthday time, our anniversary. But this is a big one. Last year was a big one, 15. This is a big one. It was our quinceañera last year.
Yeah.
It's our Sweet 16 this year.
year.
So we're super excited. So stay tuned for more information about that celebration.
Yeah. February 17th, put it on your calendar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mark your calendars for a good time.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Excellent.
I think we're good.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Hopefully you learned a little something, and we love doing these. So as long as we still have people giving us, cheering us
encouragement
to
and we
keep
have
doing
stuff
them.
to talk about.
And there's new wines to drink. We'll keep drinking them.
Yep.
All right. Cheers.
Happy holidays.
Happy
Cheers.
holidays.